Hello everyone, we have so much to talk about, so must be fast with this intro. Welcome to the Weekend Recap. I'm Adrian. I'm sure you know what the Weekend Recap is by now. And the Weekend Recap has been reunited with its best friend, OneFootball. OneFootball is the best app in the game for live scores, match trackers, watching highlights, getting news stories straight from the clubs and competitions you care about, live breaking news, and so much more. The benefits to downloading the app for free are endless. So, download it for free using the link in the description for iOS or Android. Love you, OneFootball. You help make this channel possible. Huh? Is he really going to talk about the Swedish Allsvenskan again? Yeah, I am, dude, because their season has come to a close, and there was a possibility for any of the top 3 teams to win the damn thing going into the final match day. Djurgårdens with the advantage, and then Malmo and Hammarby. Malmo, they did all that they could by going away to Örebro and smacking them 5-0. Thank you for your service, Malmo, but it's not in your hands anymore. That put them on 65 points. Hammarby, they also did the business, beating Häcken 4-1. Congrats to them. They also reached 65 points. Djurgårdens, they just needed a draw and they would win the Swedish league. They went away to Norrköping, a team that would have loved to have been the party poopers, and they came out flying. 1-0 after 8 minutes, 2-0 to Norrköping after 14 minutes. Terrible for Djurgårdens, a team that hadn't won the Swedish top flight trophy since 2005. But after the half, Jesper Karlström made it 2-1, one more goal, and they would take the league title for themselves. In the 65th minute, Mohamed Taray gets the game-tying goal. Djurgårdens hang on and win the Allsvenskan for the first time since 2005. How much did it mean to them? The director of sport fainted from joy after lifting the trophy. Congrats to Djurgården, all their fans. May you all faint safely in celebration. Oh yeah, and we'll talk about Liga Norsk next week. I miss talking about it. I do, and some of you do as well. Alright, Premier League. Chelsea versus Wofford is a decent place to start as Jorginho played an incredible ball over the top just 5 minutes into the match, and Abraham with the clean finish over Foster. Actually, if it wasn't for Foster, this match would have been finished in the first half. And in the second, Pulisic continued his great run of form with another goal, this time Abraham as the setup man. 2 on the final. Abraham has really made the doubters sit down with his 9 goals and 2 assists. Pulisic with 4 goals and 2 assists. Lampard becomes the first Chelsea manager to win 7 away matches consecutively, and in total, Chelsea has won 8 of their last 9 matches. Decent. Very, very decent. Manchester City had to come from behind against Southampton, surprising given their recent 9-0 spanking. My god, that second half was an absolute onslaught, man. Sergio Aguero with the equalizer, that guy's also on 9 goals and 2 assists, and Kyle Walker, the unlikely hero, with the winner in the 86th minute. Hey, he also set up Aguero's equalizer. De Bruyne who? Am I right? 2-1 City. Liverpool, they also had to come from behind, though they were away at Villa Park. Aston Villa haven't been pushovers lately, and Mahmoud Trezeguet put them ahead in the 21st minute. Some very lax defending from Liverpool from the free kick. Seems like neither Henderson nor Van Dijk wanted to go for that ball. Liverpool thought they'd equalize when Firmino converted from Mane's cross, but VAR and their crazy tight offside calls, like the Son call from a few weeks ago. I've stared at this for a long time, and I'm still not convinced that this is actually offside. But hey, more on VAR later. Man, it really looked as though Liverpool were heading towards their first loss of the Premier League season until the 87th minute when Andy Robertson snuck in to the back post to level it. Great ball by Mane, then a great header from Mane. Got Liverpool the winner. And he had to put his face amongst the danger for that goal. Boot to the face, but he won't care. 2-1 Liverpool as they remain unbeaten. Arsenal, I did a video about how their match against Wolves could act as a potential turning point in their season, but yet again, they failed to defeat Nuno Espiritu's side. They are yet to do that in the Premier League from 3 tries. Ozil started and looked pretty good. In fact, the lineup was interesting with Ceballos, Torreira, Guendouzi, and Ozil all starting. Central midfielders across the park, baby. Wolves were by far the better team, though, in my opinion, and were deserving of their 76th minute equalizer. 1-1. The fans will continue to be unhappy at Arsenal as long as Emery's in charge. I am sure of it. Big shout out to Sheffield United on their big 3-0 win over Burnley. Newcastle got an important 3 points away to West Ham, and United, they got an important 0 points away to Bournemouth. Man, just when things seem to have turned around, they go and lose to Bournemouth. All right, Tottenham versus Everton. Let's skip to the second half where a terrible mistake from Iwobi led to a nice goal from Tottenham, in fairness to them. Then Dele went and did some sleeping on the Goodison Park pitch. Tottenham should have been penalised in my opinion when Dele Alli's arm was above his head while he was defending against Mina, I believe. Not a natural silhouette. A free kick wasn't given for a foul by Mina, so it should have been a pen. Sack the refs. Okay, as for the Andre Gomes situation, I'm not going to show that, by the way. Horrible. A horrible situation, and Son deserved to be carded for his act of retribution against Gomes, but I gotta say, the challenge wasn't a red card challenge, as the break came from his collision with Serge Aurier as they both went down, so it's a weird sort of gray area. He technically endangered Gomes with the blatant trip, which is for sure a yellow, but if Aurier wasn't there, it would be nothing more than just a yellow. Atkinson himself had a yellow card out to begin with, then changed it to red after seeing what happened to Gomes. I don't know. It wasn't a studs-up tackle or anything, just unfortunate that Gomes then continued on and collided with Aurier and broke his ankle. I mean, if he'd stayed on the pitch, it would have seemed kind of weird. I don't think he would have been able to either, just how he was affected by it. But his yellow card-worthy tackle sort of set the sequence of events in motion for Andre Gomes' horrific injury, but technically it wasn't a red card tackle, you know? But anyway, Everton did get the equalizer that they deserved. One won the final with the Andre Gomes incident overshadowing everything, as well as more confounding VAR decisions, or non-decisions in some cases. After all of this stuff this weekend, VAR in the Premier League is absolutely the worst implementation that I've seen of the technology. I think it's safe to say that by now. I can't remember who actually said this quote, I read it a while ago, but I think it was a former referee or something, but basically he supported the fact that with how the Premier League referees are misusing the system, they've basically just adopted a Hawkeye system for offsides. The referees seem very reluctant to take the second opinion from the video assistant referee at times, which begs the question of, what's the point, you know? Certainly there are times where the referee's initial call should stand because we have to remember it has to be a clear and obvious mistake. But I do think that the reluctance of the referees to check the monitor in order to expedite the process has actually made for a far more confusing, unclear VAR system. The system utilized in the Champions League has been much better in my opinion, and I'd say to the benefit of the Champions League. So, Liverpool still hold a 6-point lead over second place City. Leicester got yet another win and hold on to third with Chelsea level on points. And look at Sheffield, pushing all the way, baby. Let's go Steel City. Sorry for thinking you would get relegated. My bad. I don't think you will. And good for you for turning the tables on me. Let's talk Serie A as the AC Milan hurt just gets worse and worse. How many more weeks am I going to be saying those exact words? They played Lazio at home, a place where they haven't lost to Lazio in 30 years. As expected, that record changed on the night as goals from Ciro Immobile and Joaquin Correa gave Lazio the win and their first win at the San Siro against Milan in the Serie A for 30 years, as I alluded to earlier. Also, congrats to Ciro for his 100th Lazio goal. Only took him 3 years to hit that mark. What a player. And just when people were musing as to whether or not Atalanta could take a shot at the Serie A title, of course, it was simply reactionary stuff from their big win last week. Well, they went ahead and lost 2-0 at home against Cagliari. Now, will people start talking about how Cagliari are contenders? You'll see where they are in the table. Brescia lost away to Hellas Verona. Not very notable, except for the fact that Hellas Verona fans took part in some more racist monkey noises. This isn't the first time that they've done this time aiming them at Balotelli, who reacted by turning and blasting the ball into the stands, as you can see here. He then left the pitch, as he should. And his teammates tried to stop him from doing so, which just goes to show even further how deep the racism problem is in Italy and the reluctance to stop it. Every week it feels like there's an incident, and even his own teammates didn't show solidarity with him. I mean, good for Balotelli for walking off. He did come back on. Shame on those players that tried to stop him from doing so, and a preemptive shame on the Italian FA, who will likely do nothing, which is their usual MO. Play was also stopped in the Roma-Napoli match as there were some anti-territorial derogatory chants towards the Neapolitans from the Roma supporters. Roma did end up 2-1 victors on the night, and it could have been more if not for Kolarov's penalty being saved. But Napoli, they're in a bit of a bad run of form in the moment in the Serie A. Winless in 3 matches now. Inter went away to Bologna and put in a great shift in a tricky ground. Thanks to big money Rom, they got the 2-1 win. A tap in from about a yard or so in the 75th minute cancelled out Soriano's goal earlier for Bologna. Then, in the 91st minute, Lukaku converted a penalty that Lautaro had won. Absolute moment of madness from Solini to give that penalty away. Lukaku converts, scoring his 9th in the Serie A, and that was the winner for Inter. Juve, they played in the Turin derby away to Torino, and it was a decent performance from Juventus, especially defensively. They got their winner from a set piece with Matthijs de Ligt volleying Higuain's ball across the box into the back of the net. Hopefully that's a turning point for him and will help with his confidence, as he's perhaps a bit, taking a bit longer to adapt at Juve than people would have expected. But we got to remember how young this guy is still. And so, here's the table, as Juve stayed at the top, with Inter just behind them by only a point. The two representatives from Rome, Lazio and Roma, take up 4th and 3rd respectively. And look at Cagliari. A 9-match unbeaten run, the second longest in the league, has taken them up to 6th, level on points with Atalanta and Lazio. Napoli, they've dropped to 7th. Crazy. La Liga, the fall of Spanish football continues. I'm joking. That's dramatic, but the Spanish clubs are certainly hurting at the moment, as only one team in the top 6 won this weekend. Just one. That team, of course, the team I told you was going to win La Liga, Real Sociedad, as they went away to the pretenders, Granada, the lingerers. And Sociedad came away with a 2-1 win. 89th minute winner for the boys from San Sebastian. A brace for Porto, Adnan Januzaj with the big boy assist. Job done there. And they actually have a chance to continue with this great trajectory as they next play the worst team in the league, Leganes. Real Madrid played one of the worst teams in the league this weekend, especially defensively, Real Betis. But this is Zidane's Real Madrid we're talking about here. Let me rephrase that. This is Zidane's Real Madrid Mach 2 we're talking about here. So you can't expect them to roll over a team that is struggling defensively, even if they are playing at home. What? 0-0 in that match. Atletico Madrid, I don't even want to say it. Their match ended in a 1 point each, 1 goal each. I'm over it. Boring team, which is too bad. They could have won it too if Diego Costa had converted the penalty, but no. Simeone wants to try to be the first club to win La Liga with more draws than wins. Currently, they have 6 draws and 5 wins, and hey, they're well on their way. And with teams like Real Madrid playing poorly and Barcelona as well, who we'll get into in a second, maybe they can pull it off. But they got to watch out for Real Sociedad. All right, speaking of Barcelona, it really is the fall of Spanish football, at least for the Giants. I mean, I don't believe in Zidane at Real Madrid, and I don't believe in Ernesto Valverde at Barcelona, who lost me about a season and a half ago with the whole Roma comeback. Was that a season and a half? Yeah, about that. Whatever. Whenever Barcelona lost to Roma in the 2017-18 season in the Champions League, that's when Erneste was dead in these streets. And Barcelona were dead in the Valencia streets when they went away to Levante. Messi opened the scoring from the spot, 1-0 at the half. But on the other side of halftime, thought I was going to sneeze. Time for Barcelona to blow a lead, as they do. First, Jose Campana 1-1. 2 minutes later, Borja Mayoral 2-1 Levante. You want even more collapse thanks to PTSD and a complete loss of the mental side of the game once again from Barcelona as they feel their lead slipping away. 5 minutes later, 68th minute, Levante score yet again. A big deflection, but a terrible attempt at clearing the ball from Barca's defense. Messi did make it 3-2 at one point, but it was called back for offside. 3-1 win for Levante, which is huge for them as they move up into 11th. Speaking of which, Barcelona stay in first despite the loss, Real Madrid in second. Crazy that despite the poor performances from those two, they still lead. Spanish football is in a weird moment. Sociedad, they're also tied on 22 points. Atletico and Sevilla just behind them on 21. The Bundesliga. Let's go really quickly because I have been a chatty boy in this episode. Your favorite team, Borussia Mönchengladbach, held on to first with a scrappy 2-1 win away to Bayer Leverkusen. That is a great result for Marco Reus and the boys. I almost said Royce. God. Hoffenheim, Big up to Hoffenheim and their coach Alfred Schroeder, who was the assistant at Ajax before getting the Hoffenheim gig. A bit of a slow start for them, but with their 3-0 win over Paderborn this weekend, they've now won 4 in a row and have moved up to 9th, just 2 points behind second place Dortmund. And speaking of Dortmund, they finally handed Wolfsburg their first Bundesliga L of the season, slapping them with a 3-0 scoreline with goals from Thorgan Hazard, finally, Rafa Guerreiro and Götze from the penalty spot, a second half blitz from Dortmund. Ooh, the biggest performance of the weekend. Well, it's a toss-up between Leipzig's and Frankfurt's. Leipzig's was impressive as they completely embarrassed Mainz 8-0. Just like Southampton last week, losing by 8 or more should be an automatic relegation. I'm sorry, Mainz. It was embarrassing for you. Hat trick for Timo Werner, hey! But Eintracht Frankfurt were so good that they actually cost Niko Kovac his job. They beat Bayern 5-1 with 5 different scorers. I mean, it didn't help Bayern that Boateng got himself sent off just 9 minutes into the match. That's always going to make things very difficult for you, especially when you're away against a good side like Eintracht Frankfurt. And it didn't help Niko Kovac's case when he said prior to the match that Eintracht Frankfurt had the best fans in the league. He was sacked a day after the loss. It's crazy, man. Bayern are showing the ruthlessness that a top club needs. I mean, I think he's lost 3 matches or something this season. I personally think that he was given enough time, and though he seemed all right in the second half of last season, he didn't seem that he was the right choice for them. I mean, go back to my videos from last season, and I kept on saying he would get the sack, but hey man, it was only a matter of time, I guess. I mean, Bayern's defensive record has been terrible. Their worst record since Klinsmann was in charge in the 08-09 season. Remember how that went? Finishing second, out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and the DFB Pokal. Klinsmann sacked in April of that season. It's unfortunate for Kovac, but he'll be fine at a smaller team once they come along. Okay, so here's the German table. As I said, the 2 Borussias at the top, but look at how close it is. Gotta love the Bundesliga. All right, folks, who's going to replace Niko Kovac at Bayern? Will it be Arsene Wenger? Will it be Jose Mourinho, who is learning German? Perhaps Ralf Rangnick, who has Bundesliga experience? We'll see, but that's all from me, old Adrian. I love you dearly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later this week for some Champions League coverage. Take care.